Hey guys, Jacqueline here, and welcome to part 19 of how to make a 2D RPG in Unity. In this video, we're going to be creating our hoe animation and adding it for when we use our hoe to plow the ground. To get started, we're going to go ahead and just update our idle animation for our player. Right now, when we walk around and then stop walking, our player turns back to the camera to face us. But what we're going to do is just create a 4-directional idle animation using a blend tree, just so that way when we stop walking, the player continues to face the direction that they were walking in, so that way we don't turn back. This will help us out when we do our animation, so that way when we stop facing left and then use our hoe, it will actually play the left-facing animation instead of our forward-facing one. So let's get started. The first thing that we want to do is just go ahead into our animator. If you don't have this window open, you can go to Window, Animation, and then open your animator. And then you want to make sure that you have your the player animator selected. So once you have that open, you'll see that we have our two states. We've got our idle and we've got running. So we're just going to go ahead and delete our idle state. This is just an empty state that didn't have anything in it. And we're going to go ahead and create a new state from a blend tree. So you just right click, create from blend tree. And then I'll click on that and rename it idle, since it's our idle animation. And so we can open it up and we'll see our blend tree. We want to change its type from 1D to 2D simple directional. So you can do that at the top of your inspector with the blend tree selected. And then we'll change our parameters from horizontal and horizontal to horizontal and vertical. And then we can add our 4 motions to the list of motions. And we'll just do that by adding a new motion field. And once we have 4, that's all we need. Now, in order to create the idle for each of these, though, we're going to have to go ahead and open up our animator and create those animations kind of on our own, because we don't actually have an idle animation. So we're just going to do a single frame of the walk animation for each direction. That way, when he stops, the character doesn't move, but they're still facing the right way. So what we can do is just save our game and then head back to our scene view. I just like to kind of start here because it gives us a little more options when we're clicking on stuff and selecting it. And then also we'll go ahead and open up our animator, or not animator, animation window. So we'll just go to Window, Animation, and then also Animation. And then this should pop up. I'm just going to dock it at the bottom next to our console. And then I'm going to go ahead and select our player, the visuals on there. So yours might say visuals. Mine says char 1 walk 0 because I never renamed it on this walkthrough or on this time through. If this says visuals, just make sure you select your visuals. The main thing that you'll want is just the thing that's got the animator for your character on it. Whatever that's called, you want that object so we can animate it. And then in the animation window, we have some animations here already. These are our character walk animations that we created. But we don't want to change any of these, so don't do anything with those. Just go ahead and click New Clip. Right, and then it's going to pop up so we can save it just in our animations folder. I'm going to call mine char1_idle. And then I'm just going to do down because that's what we've got already. Then from there, we can go ahead and add a new property. And we'll choose Sprite Renderer, and then we'll just select the sprite. And then by default, this is just going to be whatever the sprite's already set. So that's kind of why I chose down for the first one. We don't actually have to do anything with this one. It will just be the correct thing. Right, so if you just hit play, you can see when it runs, they just face down. So we can stop playing that. And then we'll create another new animation. So the next one we're going to do is char1_idle. And then I will do the opposite direction. So I will say up. I'll go ahead and save that, and then we'll add a new property, Sprite Renderer, Sprite, and then this is the part where we're going to actually change this animation. Right now it's set to the char walk 0, but we're going to go ahead and change that. But before we do, you want to go ahead and press this like little record button here. This is going to record any changes that we make. So with that selected, we can go ahead and change the sprite. and you'll see that that's also red. And just click this little arrow here, or that little dot there, and then scroll down until you find the first frame of the walk up animation and select that one. Then make sure you uncheck this record button and then hit play to make sure that our character is facing the correct way. All right, that looks great. Then we'll go ahead and create our next one. So we'll say char1 underscore idle underscore right. So we want this one to be a sprite as well. And then we'll go ahead and hit that record button and then change this to be the right facing sprite. Okay, and then if we hit just unrecord and then hit play, make sure that, yep, that looks great. Okay, and then we can create a new one and we'll do our very last one of idle left. And then we'll hit record on our, so we'll add our sprite, sorry, and then we'll hit record. And we'll change this to the left facing frame of our animation for a walk. So there we go. Right, and we'll hit unrecord and we'll hit play. And that looks correct. Okay, cool. So with all of those created, we can go to our project view and, oop, I already had the animations folder open. And then you should see all of those in there. Right. So now that we have all of our idle animations created, we can go back to our animator. And then we've got our blend tree here. We can go ahead and click on it just to pull back up the inspector. And we can drag and drop all of these new animations into each one of those motion fields. I missed that one. And then we'll just go ahead and update our values because we've got down here. So with that, we're not going to have any direction on the X. And we're going to be walking down. So it's -1 on the Y. And then for our idle left, that's -1 on the X, 0 on the Y. With the right, we're going to be moving 1 on our X, 0 on the Y. And then for up, we're going to be 0x and +1 on the Y. Right, and if you're wondering why I picked these numbers, it's just because these are the numbers that our input the input returns when we get access. So for horizontal, if we're going left, it's going to return a -1. And then if we're going right, it's going to return a +1. And same thing for the vertical axis, it's -1 and +1. So when we set this using our input, these are the values that are going to be given to the animator. And so this will ensure that the direction is correct. Right, and then for some reason, my vertical says not a number. I'm not for sure why it's doing that. I think Unity is just not for sure what to do there, but I'm just go ahead and put that to 0 if that happens to you. If not, you're good, but I just want to make sure nothing's going to break there. Because when this is nan, there's no red dot here and you can't actually test out the values. So just go ahead and make it a number and then you can move these sliders if you want. All right, so with that created, we'll go back to our base layer. And we're actually going to remove all of these extra animations that got added when we created them. We actually don't need any of them at all. And then we've got our idle blend tree. So we'll go ahead and right click on there and create and set this as the default layer. Since we want to enter the idle state, we don't want to be running by default. And then we'll go ahead and set back up our transition. So you can right click and then make transition. And you want to do that for both idle to running and then running back to idle. Okay, and then we can click on our idle to running transition and we'll set our condition equal to is moving is true. And then we'll just remove that exit time. And then for running to idle, we'll click on that transition, add the is moving as false, and then uncheck that exit time. All right, so hit save, just save that. And our idle animation should be set up. Now when we stop in our scene, we should stop the same direction that we were facing. All right, that looks like that's working. It's kind of glitchy there. We can go ahead and fix that in the animation. So it looks like at the end there, it maybe changes back. So let's go ahead and click on our scene view so we can see our character. And we'll just go ahead and play this. Oh, that's our walk down. That's not what we want. We want our idle. We'll do our idle left Okay, I think what's happening is it's switching back to our that first frame at the end here. Yeah, so that's actually walk 0. So we need to update that as well. So if we go ahead and just click record with this here, and then we set this to not walk 0, but to our walk left frame here, it should fix that glitchiness. So yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll do that for the right as well. So we'll just move this to the 1. We'll hit record and then change this over to the right facing animation frame. And then I'll unrecord and just test that. That looks better. And then we'll do the same thing for the down. Just make sure that all of these are not glitching out. That one doesn't look like it is. Let's try up and hit play. So that one is glitching out, so we will need to do this one as well. So here we'll hit record and change this one to the up. All right, and then unrecord and play. All right, that looks a lot better. It's a little weird that it was doing that. Sometimes it'll just like change all of them. But kind of just like depends. I feel like the last time I made an animation like this, it did change it by default, but I think it just, again, depends on like your Unity version and all that. So you might not have to do that. Yours might be fine, but I did need to change mine. Okay, so now that we've got that, we can just go ahead and hit play again, just test it out once more, make sure nothing looks weird. All right, it's looking good. Alrighty, cool. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and import some sprites into our sprites folder for our hoe. And I actually did this right before I started this video. I meant to delete them because I did a practice run, but since I have mine, I'll just go ahead and delete it and we can re-import and I'll show you how to set that up. Okay, so with that deleted, I'll go ahead and just drag and drop this back into Unity. Okay, and then with this selected, we'll have it, the sprite sheet for the hoe animation. So we'll go ahead and just change that to multiple, change the pixels per unit, change our compression and filter modes, and then click apply. And then we'll go ahead and open up our sprite editor. We will slice our sprites, and that looks pretty good. Hit apply. And then we will save if you have this pop up. If you don't worry about it. This is just something I have to do with my version of Unity. Okay, so now we've got all of our animation frames cut out. We can go ahead and create our animations. So let's just select our down hoe animation and we will drag that into our scene. Go to our animations folder and save it as char1_hoe_down. And you just want to do that for all of our animations. So we'll simply drag those in, name it _hoe_up. And then we'll do left, animations, char1_hoe_, let's see, that's right facing. And then finally, our left facing one. We've got, go to animations folder, char1_hoe_left. All right, so now that we have all of our animations in there, we can go ahead and delete them from our scene. And then we'll go to our animations folder and just delete these controllers that were made for those animations, because we're going to just be adding them to our animator for our player. All right, so with that done, we can go ahead and go back to our animator window and create a new blend tree. And I'm going to go ahead and name this hoe. Or I'm actually going to name it plowing. I guess we'll do plowing because it's a little better, I think. And then we'll just double click into there and we can set up our blend tree. So with that selected, we'll change our blend type to 2D simple directional. We'll change our parameters from horizontal to horizontal vertical. And then we'll go ahead and add our motions to our list. So we'll have 4 of those, and then we can drag our animations in there. Okay. And then again, we're just going to have to set up the values. So down will be 0, -1. Left will be -1, 0. Right will be +1, 0. And up will be 0, +1. And then I'm going to set back that to 0. I don't know why the values for that vertical keep getting set weird. Right, I'm going to go ahead and save the scene. And that is all we will need in our animator for today. Once we're done setting up our transitions. Okay, so going back to the base layer, we'll need to transition from idle to plowing and plowing back to idle. At this point, I don't really think I want my player to be able to run and then transition to plowing. I think I want them to be stopped before they do that. But if I make the decision later that I do want that, I can come back and add it. So it's not a big deal. If you want to add it, go ahead and add the transition. But I'm not going to for right now. Okay, so for the transition, we need a trigger or some sort of Boolean to set this so we can move into our plowing. So what I'm going to do is create a trigger, and I'm going to call it is plowing. And we will set the transition from idle to plowing. So with that selected, we'll set our condition to is plowing. And because it's a trigger, you don't actually have any values that are associated with that. You just is plowing. And then we'll uncheck our has exit time. And then we're going to leave our transition from plowing back to idle as not having a condition and just having an exit time. So once that animation is done, it will transition automatically back to idle. And since we only want to play the animation when the action occurs, we don't need it to loop. So that'll work out for us, I think, right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save again. And then now we are completely done in our animator. And all that's left to do is set up the trigger in code to play this animation when we interact with the ground. Right, so we will go out of our animations folder and into our scripts folder to open up the player script. And in the player script, we have added this code to interact with the ground if we're having a hoe equipped, and also the tile we're trying to interact is interactable. So this is where we're going to want to set up that call to make our animator play that animation. So what we could do is create a private animator reference here in our player script, and then we can go ahead and complete that reference in our start. So we can say animator, and then we're going to get the component, but we're going to get it from the child object. So if I go back to Unity and click on our player, we'll see that this actually doesn't have an animator on it. The animator lives on our visual game object, as that is a child of our player. So we'll want to get that component from our child. Just keep in mind that if you decide to add another sprite that animates to your player, this function, get component in children, will only get the first one, and then it will return the first one it encounters. So if you're going to add another one, make sure you add it as the second child, not as the first one, or just not add anything else with an animator as a child to your player. Okay, so it's gonna go component in children, animator. All right, so that'll get the animator off of our visuals. Cool. With that done, we can now set up our trigger. So we say animator dot set trigger, and we will say is plowing. And that will trigger the animation. So the animation will play. And then once our animation is done playing, it will exit, and then we can just trigger it again to play again. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll walk around, make sure that everything's still working. Our directional idle looks good. Okay, I'll walk into our hoe. I'll go ahead and put that on my toolbar. I'll select it. Then I'll go ahead and just interact with the ground. So now you see that the animation does play. when we interact with the ground. Okay, so yeah, I think that this is probably as good as we're gonna get now. I think in the next video, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll clean up this animation a little bit further, and we'll kind of adjust the way that we're interacting with the ground. Instead of just like having the tile be above us, we can try to get that so that we actually interact with the tile that we're actually like facing. So instead of this one here getting interacted, we can actually interact with the one that's to our left and the one that's to our right and the one that's below us instead of always the one that's above us. All right, so thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Also, I do have a Patreon, so if you like what you see and you want to support more content, and me getting to do this a lot more and hopefully move to a full-time sometime in the near future, doing these videos. I could really use your help out there, so just go ahead and subscribe. Even the lowest tier would help. Thank you so much. If you haven't joined our Discord already, please join. It's a really cool community of developers just like you who are learning the ropes of Unity or who just want to work on a fun project. We can lean on each other, help each other learn, and show off our work. All right, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.